The Galactic Council chamber shimmered like a suspended ocean of light, each delegate's podium drifting on gravitic anchors around a central sphere. Inside that core sphere stood High Chancellor Valor Draction, impossibly tall, slate-skinned, eyes like molten gold. He surveyed the chamber as if it were already conquered. "Begin session," he commanded. Harmonic chimes rippled across the ring, signaling unity, though unity here rarely meant agreement, only obligation. A holographic projection flared above him, Earth. Blue, vibrant, unmistakably alive. Lines of Terran expansion across nearby star systems spiraled outward like a rising constellation. Draction folded his hands behind his back. "This young species believes it can defy Council directives," he said, voice crisp enough to cut alloy. "Their refusal to submit resource quotas is not only insolence, it is instability." A murmur spread through the delegates, the chittering Krasic, the plume-feathered Arcterii, the crystalline Kirill. Each had an opinion prepared long before the meeting began. Delegate Roll of the Krasic clicked his mandibles. "Humans adapt too quickly. Their growth is erratic, their technology, unconventional. They pose uncertainty." Delegate Visara, her voice a cool whisper, added, "But they lack refined systems. Their fleet readings remain decades behind Council standards. They are ambitious but underdeveloped." Draction let the statements hang. He wanted the chamber to feel its own confidence grow. "You see? They overreach. And now they dare resist taxation? Their expansion must be contained." A new image replaced Earth: Terran ships, outdated civilian transports, mining rigs, lightly armed patrol craft. Images the Council Intelligence Division carefully curated to preserve a narrative. "Are there objections?" Draction asked. A single voice answered, hesitant and thin. "Perhaps," offered Counselor Aram, an elder Kirill whose crystal nodes glowed with caution. "We should open negotiation first. Their silence may stem from misinterpretation, not defiance." Draction's gold eyes narrowed. "Negotiation implies parity. Do you propose we grant them equal weight among us?" Silence drowned the chamber. Even Aram dimmed. "No further objections." Draction lifted his chin. "We proceed with pacification." The vote flashed across the circular display, overwhelming approval. A few abstentions. No opposition. "Deploy the Orion Gate strike fleet," Draction ordered. "Show Earth the consequence of insolence." The chamber dimmed in acknowledgement, but beneath the ritual glow there lingered unease. None dared speak it aloud. Humanity was young, yes, but unpredictable. Yet the Council trusted numbers, tradition, and hierarchy. They feared disorder more than miscalculation. As the delegates dispersed, Draction remained in the central sphere, watching the faint projection of Earth spin in silence. "A child world unaware of its place," he muttered. "We will correct that." Earth, Terran Defense Command, Northern Hemisphere. Admiral Rhea Solari stood before a panoramic window that stretched across the command hall like a second sky. Beyond the reinforced glass, Earth's upper atmosphere glowed faint amber as the sun began its ascent. She had always found dawn reassuring, until now. A sensor officer approached, tablet in hand, voice tight. "Admiral, we intercepted partial Council transmissions." They voted. "It's confirmed." Solari took the tablet, scanning the decrypted fragments. Each line felt heavier than the last. "Orion Gate strike fleet, deploy. Target Earth. Objective pacification." She exhaled through her teeth. "How long until they arrive?" 3 days, if they use direct hyperspace vectors." "They'll use them," Solari said. "Arrogance saves time." The officer hesitated. "Should we alert the Senate?" Solari nodded once. "They'll know soon enough. Ready the secure channel." She moved to the central holotable. With a gesture, she summoned a star map that projected the Council Armada's potential approach routes. Red vectors slashed across Terran space like claws. Her jaw set. Humanity had always been underestimated, sometimes by enemies, sometimes by itself. Minutes later, the Terran Senate chamber appeared on the hololink. Delegates filled the circular room, faces strained. Senator Cade, known for his caution, leaned forward. "Admiral Solari, is it true? The Council intends to strike?" "It's confirmed," Solari answered, voice steady. "They believe we're divided. Weak. They expect a swift submission." Another senator, Amina Reyes, glared sharply. "You warned us this would happen. How large is the incoming fleet?" "Large enough that a conventional defense would collapse." Solari paused. "But we are not relying on convention." A ripple of confusion moved through the group. Cade frowned. "What are you implying?" "That Earth is not as unprepared as the Council assumes," Solari said. "Our deterrent systems, our classified projects, everything built over the last decade under Protocol Aegis, stands ready." Reyes whispered. "You intend to reveal the Shadow Fleet?" Solari met her gaze. "We no longer have the luxury of secrecy." Kate slammed a palm onto the table. "Deploying those ships risks full-scale war. Humanity cannot win an open conflict against the Council." Solari's voice sharpened. "Surrender ensures enslavement. Resistance may cost us, but submission costs everything." The senators fell silent. Not because they all agreed, but because her conviction left no room for doubt. Reyes broke the silence. "What do you need from us?" "Authorization to activate Aegis Prime. Full command transfer to Terran defense. And the assurance that when the Council arrives, humanity stands united." Cade opened his mouth to protest again, but stopped. Fear clouded his expression. Yet even he knew the Council's judgment was irreversible. Finally, he said, "The Senate votes to authorize. Earth stands with you." Solari bowed her head respectfully. "Then we begin." The hollow faded. The command hall darkened as Solari initiated the old sequence. A coded pulse shot through secure subspace channels, awakening platforms and shipyards hidden in the shadows of gas giants and asteroid belts. A metallic voice echoed across the facility. "Protocol Aegis, activation confirmed." Hangar doors across the solar system trembled open. Silent behemoths drifted from their cradles, dark-hulled dreadnoughts with luminous quantum veins, carriers with wormhole-threading arrays, strike cruisers built from alloys the Council had never encountered. The Terran Shadow Fleet, humanity's greatest secret, was no longer dormant. Solari stood motionless as the activation reports streamed across her display. Her heart tightened not from fear but from responsibility. Every ship represented centuries of struggle, sacrifice, and hard-won unity. Humanity had climbed out of chaos to forge something powerful, something worth defending. Her second-in-command, Commander Thane Ivers, approached. "The fleet is awakening. It's breathtaking. It's necessary," she replied. He studied her expression. "Do you think the Council understands what they've started?" "They think they're disciplining a child," Solari said. "But they're about to face a species that survives by refusing to break." For a moment, the only sound was the low, resonant hum of the command deck, the heartbeat of a world preparing for war. Solari looked once more at the projection of Earth. "Let them come," she murmured. "We'll show them exactly who we are." And somewhere far across the stars, the Council's fleet began its march. Aegis Prime emerged from the shadow of Jupiter like a rising fortress pulled from myth. Its armored surface glimmered faintly, a lattice of quantum plating woven around a rotating central core. Massive spires extended from its flanks, channeling energy fields that hummed beneath human hearing. It wasn't merely a battle station, it was the culmination of humanity's resolve to never again stand defenseless. Admiral Ria Solari stepped onto the command bridge, boots echoing against polished metal. Technicians paused to salute, but she waved them back to work. Time mattered now more than ceremony. "Status?" she asked, approaching Commander Thane Ivers, who was reviewing the fleet telemetry. "Activation 60% complete," Ivers replied. "Quantum reactors stable. Docked ships awaiting final clearance for launch sequences." Solari studied the panoramic displays. Ships floated around Aegis Prime like dark constellations, dreadnoughts with rib-like hull reinforcements, sleek cruisers fitted with stealth membranes, carriers with wormhole-threading rings coiled beneath their ventral bays. Each vessel was a testament to quiet progress, developed in secrecy while the Council fixated on their own supremacy. A soft vibration trembled through the deck as Aegis Prime synced to the fleet grid. Light crawled along conduits, illuminating the battle station's systems. Solari felt the shift like a breath drawn by a giant. Commander Ivers watched her. "We've kept this hidden for too long. We hid because they judged us before knowing us," Solari answered. "Now we reveal because they intend to punish what they've never understood." She moved toward the central operations table. With emotion, she summoned a three-dimensional layout of the Orion Gate region, where the Council's strike fleet would arrive. A red halo shimmered over the entry vector. "This is where they appear," Solari said. "Their plan will be simple: overwhelm our border defenses, seize orbital control, and force surrender." Ivers crossed his arms. "Unless they realize too late that our border defenses aren't the ones they expect." "Exactly." Terran Senate Headquarters, Emergency Conclave. Hours later, Solari stood in a Senate chamber filled with tension so sharp it felt physical. Delegates perched at their stations, datapads glowing in front of them. Even those who once resisted military expansion now wore expressions carved from anxiety. Senator Cade spoke first. "Admiral, the citizens demand clarity. Rumors of a hidden fleet have spread. People are afraid. Fear is natural," Solari said, voice calm. "But fear doesn't mean we're defeated." Reyes leaned forward. "How capable is this shadow fleet? Can it truly stand against the Council strike force?" Solari activated her holo-display. A fleet diagram spun above the chamber, silent, formidable. "The Council believes we rely on civilian-grade starships and outdated war platforms," she said. "They have no idea we've built vessels equipped with quantum shielding, adaptive hulls, and drive systems they've never encountered." Cade frowned. "You're certain we can hold them back?" "I'm certain we can do more than that." "What does that mean?" Reyes asked softly. Solari met her eyes. "It means the Council expects us to kneel. Instead, we'll stand. And we'll make them reconsider everything they think they know about humanity." A stir of energy moved across the chamber, fear mixed with pride, uncertainty tempered by hope. Cade stood. "Then the Senate acknowledges the Shadow Fleet. Earth places its trust in your command. We authorize full deployment." Solari bowed her head once. "Thank you. We will not fail." Aegis Prime, launch preparations. Back aboard the battle station, the fleet's awakening intensified. Dock clamps released with metallic booms that reverberated through the void. Engines ignited, casting pale halos across the darkness. Support drones darted between ships, checking external systems while technicians coordinated launch timing. Solari walked the upper concourse with Ivers at her side. Transparent panels revealed carriers gliding from their bays, their wormhole-threading arrays spinning slowly. She paused at a viewing platform overlooking the dreadnought TDS Helion. "She still looks unreal," Ivers murmured. "She represents what we've become," Solari replied. "A species that refuses extinction." Her wrist console chimed. "Incoming broadcast from the strike fleet's approach path." The display lit with encrypted data, scans showing hyperspace distortion signatures. The Council's forces were accelerating toward the Orion Gate. "Estimated arrival?" Solari asked. 32 hours, Ivers said. Solari opened a channel to Fleet Command. "Prepare all vessels for coordinated warp. Vanguard formation. Maintain silent alignment until my signal." Across the comm, captains acknowledged in calm, steady tones. No one asked questions. Every officer aboard understood the weight of what they were about to face. The approach. Terran ships formed around Aegis Prime in precise geometric patterns. Quantum energy radiated around their hulls, visible as faint violet strands. The Shadow Fleet moved like a single organism, graceful, silent, restrained. Solari stood centered before the tactical array, hands clasped behind her back. Ivers watched the data streams scroll. "We're ready," Send us in. The fleet jumped. A surge rippled through space as Terran vessels pierced the warp corridor. Colors folded into themselves. Shadows lengthened and contracted in impossible ways. Solari never grew accustomed to warp's distortions, but today they reminded her of anticipation, compressed, sharpened. Moments later, the fleet emerged near the Orion Gate, an artificial construct of ancient council design. Its circular structure glowed with regulated blue energy. For now, the region was quiet. Positioning complete, Ivers said. All ships cloaked and holding. Solari stepped closer to the viewport. The Council still sees us as children, she said. Let their first glimpse of what we've become be unforgettable. Council strike fleet arrival. Hours passed. Officers rotated through shifts. Sensors remained locked on the hyperspace thresholds. Then the distortion alarms chimed. Contact! A sensor chief called. Massive fleet signature emerging. Council ships inbound. A tear of light opened above the gate, expanding into a torrent of luminous waves. Warships burst into real space, sleek, silver vessels with ornate fins and luminous cores. Their confidence was evident in every formation line. Translating Council transmissions, the comm officer muttered. Projection screens filled with images of Council commanders, calm, composed, utterly certain of victory. Solari observed them with a steely expression. They're so sure of themselves. Ivers nodded. They think they're alone here. Not for long. The Council fleet advanced. Some captains casually scanned the region, expecting weak Terran patrols. Others prepared to broadcast surrender demands. They detected nothing unusual, only the Orion Gate's steady hum. Solari spoke quietly. Shadow fleet decloak. One by one, Terran ships shimmered into visibility, emerging like predators from deep water. The array of vessels engulfed the region in disciplined silence. The Council fleet halted abruptly. Ivers exhaled. They finally see us. Solari straightened. Open all channels. They deserve to know who stands before them. A calm blue light signaled channel activation. This is Admiral Rhea Solari of the Terran Defense Armada, she said. You came expecting submission. You will find none here. The moment Admiral Rhea Solari's transmission ended, the Council strike commanders appeared on the tactical feed, faces frozen in disbelief. Their ships had emerged expecting unarmed Terran patrol vessels and outdated defense grids. Instead, they now faced a formation of warships carrying geometries and energy signatures no Council database recognized. A rigid-shouldered Zephyr commander recovered first. Terran fleet, you are violating Council jurisdiction. Power down and prepare for immediate subjugation procedures. Ivers snorted quietly. Solari didn't react. She watched their formation tighten, their confidence thinning beneath force protocol. No response? The Zephyr demanded. Solari answered calmly. We will not surrender. Withdraw or be engaged. The commander leaned forward, pupils flaring. You presume to challenge the Council? Humans lack. Cut channel, Solari instructed. The display blinked to black. Solari turned to her officers. Target their lead carriers. Precision bursts only. No escalation until they commit. Orders rippled across the bridge. Terran ships aligned with quiet precision, thrusters firing in micro-adjustments. Their movements held an almost organic fluidity, something the Council hadn't prepared for. Moments later, Council sensors finally detected the Terran energy spike. Confusion erupted through their ranks. Admiral, they're arming! A Terran lieutenant called. Hold! Solari murmured. A pulse of enemy fire lit the void, photon lances streaking toward Terran frontline cruisers. No! Solari said. Terran dreadnoughts responded instantly. Quantum lattice cannons released shimmering beams that curved mid-flight, slipping past enemy armor to disable propulsion nodes instead of annihilating hulls outright. Direct hits! The weapons chief shouted. Enemy carriers immobilized. Council formations fractured as ships struggled to compensate for the sudden losses. Their doctrine relied on overwhelming momentum. When disrupted, they hesitated. Solari exploited the hesitation before it fully formed. All vessels, advance! The Shadow Fleet surged forward, weaving between enemy lines with practiced precision. Terran fighters deployed from hidden compartments, their dark matter wings slicing through jamming fields with ease. Explosions rippled across the battlefield, fragments drifting in slow spirals. Yet Solari kept her voice steady. Maintain discipline. No unnecessary destruction. We disable and push back. Their losses will send the message. The bridge buzzed with activity but no panic. Each officer moved with purpose, their training sharpened by urgency rather than fear. Council High Command, emergency transmission. Far away in the core ring, High Chancellor Vaylor Draxion watched the reports with tightening fury. The hollow projection displayed chaotic vessel feeds and distorted telemetry. Red warnings swarmed the interface. What am I seeing? Draxion demanded. General Vorin bowed slightly. Admiral Solari's fleet appears to employ technology unfamiliar to us. Our strike force is overwhelmed. Impossible. Humans lack the infrastructure for such development. Respectfully, Chancellor, Vorin said. It seems we underestimated them. Draxion slammed a fist against the console. Then mobilize the Grand Armada. If they dare resist, we will crush them with force that leaves no doubt. Council officers exchanged uneasy glances. Do it, Draxion growled. And silence anyone who questions this order. Battlefield, Orion Gate. Solari's fleet pressed forward, disabling ship after ship with clean, controlled strikes. But the Council still held superior numbers, and their desperation grew. A volley of destabilizer torpedoes detonated dangerously close to the Terran cruiser Astrea. Defensive grid compromised on their port side, Ivers warned. Shift the Hellion to cover, Solari ordered. The dreadnought responded instantly, sliding into position and projecting a layered quantum barrier across the wounded cruiser's flank. Helion shield integrity down 7%, the tactical officer reported. They'll manage, Solari said. A transmission flashed, an urgent call from Captain Lyra Vass of the Astrea. Her face appeared, streaked with sweat but resolute. Admiral, we can continue, she said. We only lost outer shielding. Hold formation, Captain, Solari replied. We're not losing ships today. Vass nodded sharply and vanished from the screen. Council forces attempted a coordinated flank strike, classic maneuver, predictable and slow. Solari countered before they closed the gap. Shadow Wing, intercept at Vector 5, she commanded. Terran fighters streaked across the void, their engines leaving faint trails of gold. They sliced through the Council's flank with angular precision, breaking the maneuver before it fully formed. Enemy retreat signals detected, Ivers said. Solari exhaled, a controlled relief. They're realizing brute force won't work. But she wasn't celebrating. Not yet. She turned back to the star map. Prepare withdrawal to phase line C. We've made our point. No pursuit. Ivers blinked. You want to let them go? We want them to reconsider. Destroying them invites vengeance. Showing them the cost invites caution. The order went out. Terran ships fell into a defensive arc, holding position while the remaining Council vessels limped backward, engines flickering. Their retreat was disorganized, their pride visibly fractured. When the last enemy ship cleared the region, Solari finally stepped away from the console. Her legs felt heavier than she expected. The toll of restraint, not combat, weighed on her. Ivers approached. We pulled off the first engagement without a single loss. That's something, Admiral. Solari nodded, though worry lingered behind her eyes. This was only their first move. Draxion will escalate. You think he'll send the Grand Armada? She looked toward the distant glow of the Orion Gate, still humming softly. He has no other choice. His authority depends on proving humans cannot stand against them. Ivers exhaled slowly. Then we prepare for the impossible. No, Solari corrected. We prepare for what we've always known was coming. Terran fleet casualties and resolve. Hours later, the battle reports finished streaming in. Minor injuries, moderate damage to 2 cruisers, drained power reserves across several vessels, but no fatalities. No destroyed ships. Solari walked through the triage deck, speaking briefly with wounded officers. She listened, not as a distant commander but as someone who carried their struggles on her shoulders. One young ensign, bandaged across the forehead, tried to stand when she approached. "Stay seated," Solari said gently. "Your bravery is noted." "We didn't break, Admiral," the ensign murmured. "We held." "You did more than hold," she replied. "You showed them who we are." She left the deck with a renewed sense of resolve, and a sharpened sense of responsibility. The Council's next move. Back aboard the flagship, Solari reviewed intercepted communications. The fragments were enough to confirm her suspicion. Draction was gathering every ship he had. "Aegis Prime will be the battleground," Ivers said. Solari nodded. "Then we make sure it's the last battleground." She turned to the fleet-wide comm channel. "This is Admiral Solari," she said, voice carrying quiet strength. "The Council believes today was an anomaly. They're preparing a force meant to erase us. But they still don't understand humanity's resolve." Faces appeared, commanders, pilots, engineers, every expression focused. The first tremors of hyperspace distortion reached Aegis Prime just before sunrise over Earth. On the battle station's bridge, Admiral Ria Solari watched the readings spike across every sensor. The Grand Armada had arrived, thousands of Council ships, layered in formations designed for absolute domination. Ivers approached with the latest scans. "It's worse than we expected. Multiple dreadnought lines. Carrier clusters. Heavy artillery barges." Solari didn't flinch. "How long until they settle into full formation?" "Minutes. Then we act before they dictate the pace." The bridge fell silent as the full weight of what was coming settled into the air. Outside the reinforced windows, the Shadow fleet held position around the massive battle station. Their hulls reflected faint starlight, calm and silent in the face of the largest invading force ever recorded. Solari opened fleet-wide comms. "This is Admiral Solari. The Council believes overwhelming numbers guarantee victory. They assume fear dictates our choices. But humanity has never survived because of numbers. We survived because we refused to break." Her voice echoed across every Terran vessel. "Today, we stand as one. Whatever happens, we hold the line." Every ship acknowledged. No hesitation. The siege begins. The Grand Armada emerged fully from hyperspace, stretching across the void like a metallic horizon. Color-coded layers showed command vessels at the lead, heavy fire platforms behind, fighters swarming like silver clouds. Then the first barrage came. A torrent of Council fire struck Aegis Prime's outer shields, erupting across the energy dome in arcs of blue light. The battle station trembled, internal stabilizers compensating. "Shields at 94%, reported the tactical officer. "Hold steady," Solari said. Another volley struck. The deck vibrated underfoot. Ivers tightened his grip on the holorail. "If they maintain this pressure." "They won't," Solari cut in. She activated offensive grids. "Target their main artillery line. Pattern Helios." Terran dreadnoughts responded instantly. Quantum beams lanced outward in a synchronized pattern, piercing the Council's artillery ships with surgical precision. Several enemy vessels dimmed, propulsion flickering out as their cores collapsed. But the Council pressed forward. Hundreds more advanced, firing relentlessly. "They're attempting to overload our shield harmonics," Ivers warned. Solari nodded. "Then we disrupt their rhythm." Terran counteroffensive. "Shadow Wing, execute Strike Vector 3, Solari ordered. Stealth fighters burst forward, weaving through enemy fire with impossible agility. Their dark hulls bent light around them, leaving only faint ripples in the void. They targeted command relays, severing communication chains across the enemy flank. Council formations wavered. A frustrated Council commander appeared briefly on an intercepted channel. How are they doing this? Their ships shouldn't. The feed cut as his vessel detonated, engulfed by a precision Terran strike. Ivers allowed himself a brief exhale. Their coordination is crumbling. Not enough, Solari said. They still have overwhelming numbers. We break the center line or they encircle us. She activated the fleet's encrypted tactical mode. All dreadnought captains, prepare for quantum phalanx. Full convergence. Ivers's eyes widened slightly. We've never deployed it at this scale. Which is why it will work. The quantum phalanx. The fleet shifted. Dreadnoughts repositioned with flawless geometry, their energy signatures rising in synchronized pulses. A low hum filled the bridge as Aegis Prime linked to the formation, distributing power across the fleet grid. Phalanx charge at 70%, the weapons officer announced. On the star map, the Terran formation resembled a narrowing spear. Council sensors detected the buildup too late. Charge at 90%. Shadows flickered across Solari's face as the power levels climbed. Phalanx ready, the officer confirmed. Solari raised her hand. Release. A blinding flare erupted across the battlefield. Quantum lattice energy burst outward in a sweeping arc, bending around Terran ships but slicing directly into the heart of the Council's armada. Enemy shields collapsed instantly. Hulls buckled. Entire formations disintegrated as the wave cut through them with silent precision. When the light faded, the center of the Grand Armada was shattered. Hundreds of ships drifted powerless, others vented atmosphere into the vacuum. A stunned quiet settled over the remaining council ranks. Ivers stared at the display. We broke them. Not completely, Solari replied. Their chancellor won't accept defeat. Solari versus Traction. A force transmission cut through the comm lines, an unauthorized channel override. The bridge dimmed as the hologram stabilized, revealing High Chancellor Vaylor Draction on his flagship's command deck. His usually composed expression was contorted with rage. Terran Admiral, he said, voice shaking. You've crossed the boundary of acceptable resistance. This is rebellion against the natural order. Solari met his glare without reaction. There is no order in forced submission. You threaten stability. You mistake control for stability, she replied. And fear for authority. Draction's fists tightened. You leave us no choice but eradication. Your armada is failing, Solari said evenly. Continuing means unnecessary death. He leaned forward, voice low. Humans are reckless. Dangerous. You must be suppressed. Then look outside, Solari said softly. Judge our capability. Then judge your certainty. The Chancellor's eyes flicked towards something off-screen, likely the ruins of his center line. His jaw tensed, bitterness warring with disbelief. This isn't over, Draction whispered. For your people's sake, Solari said. Let it be. She cut the channel, breaking the armada. With the central command disabled, the Council's remaining ships faltered. Several captains transmitted surrender signals. Others attempted retreat. A few still pressed forward blindly. Solari issued her final combat order. Disable the ones still firing. Permit withdrawal for all others. No pursuit. Terran ships executed the command with disciplined restraint. Enemy vessels ceased hostilities one by one until only drifting remnants remained. Silence spread across the void. Ivers watched the tactical feeds slowly clear. It's done! Solari felt the weight lift from her chest, part relief, part sorrow for what had been forced upon both sides. Signal ceasefire, she said. Aftermath, a new place in the galaxy. Hours later, Council representatives, those willing to negotiate, opened diplomatic channels. Their tone held none of the previous arrogance. Instead, caution and respect marked every word. Earth was offered a permanent seat in the Galactic Council. Full sovereignty recognized. Autonomy guaranteed. Humanity had earned its place, not by conquest, but by refusing to yield. Solari stood at the observation deck of Aegis Prime as messages of unity streamed in from across Terran space. Ships drifted peacefully around the battle station, their scars illuminated by distant starlight. Ivers joined her. You've changed the galaxy. Solari shook her head. Humanity changed itself. I only gave it a voice. He smiled faintly. What now? She looked out at the quiet expanse. Now we build a future where no world, ours or theirs, fears annihilation simply for standing. Her reflection shimmered beside the stars. And the galaxy learned something today, she whispered. Humans don't bow. Humans rise.